Bash, my name is Ed Rush, 5-time #1 bestselling author, and your host for the most positive place on the planet for insanely implementable ideas. My guest today is not only a good friend, but one of the smartest brains in the world, Mike Koenigs. I'm going to introduce him in just a second. But before I do that, let me just look you in the eye and tell you that now is your time. Listen, I know that the world's a little rough right now, and I know that times are hard. I mean, I just read an article yesterday where a pastor just got arrested and put in jail for holding a gathering. And whether you think that's a good idea or a bad idea, I can tell you that 2 months ago, that wouldn't have happened. Our world is changing, and when the world changes, it's time for you to change as well. Listen, there's no better time for you to reinvent yourself. That's why what's over my left-hand shoulder is so important. It's time for you to restore, to renew, and then to reinvent. Listen, we're going to be in the bunker for the next few months. And when you're in the bunker, you need to get better. And so today's show is designed to show you how to completely reinvent yourself. And I'm going to introduce my friend Mike Koenigs in just about 45 seconds. But before I do, I want to say hello to so many of you who have said hello in chat, both on Facebook and also on YouTube Live. By the way, if you're not logged in, go over there to the right, say hello, tell us who you are, where you are, and what you're doing today in your own bunker. I want to say hello to Jennifer, who said some very nice things. She said, 2 amazing men. Thank you for that. Scott Anderson, a meeting of titans, he says. I can't wait. Andy Lockwood, who, by the way, I made another comment about Andy. He's always got some funny, sarcastic comment. Andy says, great to see the band getting back together again. And I said, yep, Andy. Loading up the sarcastic comments. Mike and Ed, bring it on. Hello, Delisa. Welcome as usual. Barry, nice to see you as well. And hello, John Teague. Thanks for joining us. I'm going to bring my friend Mike on, and I'll do a quick introduction. I'll just tell you, I have no need to read an introduction for my friend Mike Koenigs. I am going to take you back to a day in Dallas. He's got his hat on. I'm going to tell the story of Mike and I were at a Glazer Kennedy event in Dallas. Actually, Mike was speaking at that event. And we connected in the hallway, got to know each other. And Mike texted me and said, hey, what are you doing tonight? And I said, well, I'm doing whatever you're doing tonight. So we got into a taxi and went off to this bar and sat outside, probably drank more than we would be willing to admit, and smoked a couple cigars. But at the time, the new iPad had just come out, like the iPad first version. And Mike had the new iPad. If you don't know Mike, he's an early adopter. Mike had the new iPad open, and he was in the middle of one of his product launches. And while we were sitting there at this bar in Dallas, a single sale for $3,000 was coming in every single minute during the 2 hours that we were sitting outside. So that was my introduction to Mike Koenigs. I eventually came and worked with Mike, alongside of Mike, for about 5 years, some of the funnest 5 years of my life. And we had a lot of fun and created some amazing things. Mike's a 13-time #1 bestselling author. He calls himself the Chief Disruptosaurus. I don't know if you use that terminology anymore, but I think that still holds true. And he's really, I've been so proud to see what Mike's done over the last 2 or 3 years in what I consider a complete and total reinvention. And so without any further ado, Mike, welcome to the Bunker Bash, my friend. I'm glad to have you, bud.
Well, hello, Mr. Bunker Bash. How you doing? It's good to be here with you. I'm watching people on Facebook and YouTube right now. Thank you, everyone. And thank you, Ed.
He's got the hat. So 2 years ago, you had a full Butterman outfit. So tell me about the hat.
Oh, well, here's what happened. We were doing something last weekend. A friend of ours is a DJ, and we did a virtual rave, and it was a whole bunch of us and a bunch of people who go to Burning Man. That's part of the shtick here. But
so you all got dancing, and
yeah, we all got dressed up. We're all having fun. Our kids, and we have a friend. His name's DJ Sam. It's Shoebox Moses. His name is Sammy, and he was found in a shoebox as a baby in the Philippines. Okay. So he's got an unbelievable story. He's the sweetest guy. He's a very, very talented DJ. So he put this thing together. And as a result of that, the brainstorm that came from the evening was, let's do fundraisers. So now we're doing 3 fundraisers. We're doing one this weekend that is going to support Native American Sioux. So that's one thing, and it's called the Brave event, BRAVE. So it's a rave that's brave. And then another one we're doing with Jack Canfield, and it's chicken soup for the let's see here. I've got the email. Chicken soup for the quarantine soul.
The quarantine soul.
Yeah. And then another one that I met some gentlemen who are in the liquor business. So they're doing a fundraiser for waiters and waitresses who are out of work right now. And the way we're doing them is they are live events with a DJ, and we're also bringing in JP Sears as a comedian to do a red carpet thing. So you'll be able to, depending on the level of commitment you have when you're giving money to the cause, will determine, you'll be able to show up and have a conversation. We got sponsors. So it's just like, how are we going to make the most of this and make an impact and a difference at the same time?
Yeah, I mean, isn't that the question? So, I mean, what happened, it's so interesting what happens to cultures and societies. And by the way, today on the show, we're going to talk about how to use the current situation to reinvent yourself. And so roll up your sleeves, get ready to take some notes. And by the way, chat is just exploding, Mike. I tried to catch up on it a little bit while you were talking, but it's kind of fun. Somebody asked me the other day, so this studio is all run me pushing the buttons. And then my guest comes in and then we talk. And someone said, well, how did you learn how to do that? And I said, I sat next to Mike Koenigs for 5 years and we live streamed like every 2 weeks at least. So I said to this person, I said, I have Mike Koenigs to thank for the ability to talk about comments and talk on topic at the same time. So we had a pretty fun run at it. And if I remember correctly, we had one day, not to brag, we had one Saturday where we grossed over $1 million in sales in a single day. That was a fun day, Mike Koenigs.
Yes, I will tell you, those are fascinating times. We live in new kinds of fascinating times now, for sure. Things will never be the same again. I guarantee you that. And, what we decide to do right now, I think you and I were talking before the camera started, which is, if you think about it, right now, we have been practicing a habitual exercise for most of our lives, assuming things will be the same. You get up, you do your thing, you go to bed, you jump in your car, you go buy, you go do, you do. And suddenly, boom, here we are in a place where you're constrained for a period of time. And everything that has ever existed is being tested. And this is going to sound harsh. It's not intended to be an attack on anything other than there are some things that have already been extinct for a long time. This is testing it. And that which does not re-emerge and reinvent itself will remain that way. And it is unfortunate because unfortunately there's a lot of people who will suffer as a result. And it's also an opportunity to mend the nets and to compress the spring and ask yourself and test every element of who you are, what you do, why you do it, who you do it for, and see if it still serves your soul and the people it's meant to, or is it an unconscious habit? Is it a phantasm of what once was versus what can reemerge? Because the economy will come back. The economy's always gone up, 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 and there are dips and changes, and this is unprecedented. And I'm always optimistic in the future for what is, and I love reinvention, even though it's painful when you break the chrysalis and go through this. So there you go.
Yeah, I mean, there's a phrase. So Perry Marshall was on this show 2 days ago, and he said his quote was, "Normal died 3 years ago." And I want to jump off that and leverage this because so take, for example, the United States auto industry. Yeah. That industry was beginning a slow and painful death 3 years ago. Auto sales started coming down. Used sales started coming down. Uber started picking up. Millennials didn't buy cars. And so the writing was on the wall for that industry. COVID-19 is just completely accelerating the death of that industry. Like, I mean, faster than you could ever believe. So there were things that were changing 3 years ago. And I just want to just give you some credit, Mike, because it was about 3 years ago that I think you used the term mended the nets. I would use the term broke all of your old china, and you completely reinvented the way that you do business. Now, you didn't reinvent who you are, because fundamentally who you are and what you know is the core of what you deliver. But you did reinvent how you do things. So tell me how you went through that process, what that was like. I know it was painful because I was with you during it. At anytime you're changing, like you said, out of the chrysalis, it's a big change. But how did you do that? How did you accomplish it, and what were the results on the other end?
Sure. Well, just to set this up, part of it was that I know you were aware of it, but I reached a point where I started losing my courage and my confidence, and I felt off. And knowing what I know now, I will say that my soul hurt. It was aching, and I felt trapped. And it took me 8 months to be able to articulate this one core concept, which was I had outgrown who I was, what I did, why I did it, who I did it for. And it wasn't about anyone else, but like I couldn't get out of bed. Now, the truth is, I was genuinely depressed. And it was like, what right did I have to feel that way? After all, I'm married, I've got a beautiful son, a successful business, I've accomplished a lot. And everything didn't feel right any longer. And part of the thing, and you and I were part of it, which was a business model that was dependent upon events and had a tremendous amount of financial risk, a lot of moving parts. And suddenly a lot of those parts quit working right. But also I felt as though I was stuck as a bit of a dancing bear, and repeating myself, answering the same questions over and over again. And even though I felt like I was serving other people, I wasn't serving me any longer, not in the way that excited me. And so the most painful thing of all is to walk away from the sure thing and say, I would, God, this is going to sound harsh. I would rather choose death over what I'm doing right now. I've got to, I chose an egoic death, a death of self, and a willingness to accept whatever is going to happen next, even though it might mean a massive loss of wealth, of positioning, of status, of all the things that I thought I was working towards. And interestingly, and you remember this too, Ed, because I became reasonably public about it, and there were people who raised their hands and were saying, me too. And what I just said is, well, then let's go on a reinvention exercise together.
I remember a woman at one of our events who said to you, this is the Mike that I've been waiting for all these years. I mean, it was like this massive leap forward in congruence almost. And it wasn't like you weren't congruent before. It was just like you had evolved so much that the current activity wasn't in line with the current Mike, you know?
Yeah, no, that's true. And it hurt. It was painful. And what I did is, first of all, and this is the same advice I'd give to anyone right now. The first thing is I got in really good shape. I quit drinking alcohol, quit eating all sugar, and really, really cleansed. And I really worked on my marriage. And you know, this isn't anything I haven't said before, and Vivian would give me permission to. We've been up and down. We're two big personalities living in the same place, and I'm not an easy guy to be around sometimes. And Vivian, there you go. And same with Ed. You know, anyone would say that, right?
But it was like it was interesting, because I'm going to interrupt you for a second, then you're going to keep going. But we were both kind of like, we were both going through that same thing, you know, 3 years ago. So, I mean, I'll jump in and tell part of the story, but yeah, it's, by the way, thank you for your honesty. It's so rare in a medium like this for people just to be so transparent. It's fun to see the butterfly coming out of its thing, you know? So keep going.
Yeah. Well, and then I think I did something I hadn't done in a long time, which was I began to wonder again. I wonder what it would be like if. I wonder if, and dreaming outside of the constraints, because I think what happens to any entrepreneur, and is we experience a certain degree of trauma, which is, holy crap, I'm going to run out of, how am I going to pay for that? What's going to happen if you're living in if land and dying 1,000 paper cut death, which is worrying about what's going to happen next. And that is an eternal state of positive hell. And the truth of the matter is, never gone hungry before. Nothing all that horrible's happened. There've been plenty of things, almost died, I guess. But, I mean, there's been some rotten experiences, but every time you look on the other side and you're like, you know what? It all ended up working out. It was like a roadblock. Things shifted, things changed. And I've got deeper, more meaningful relationships. The ones that shouldn't be there any longer aren't anymore. And if you're not a moving target, if you're not evolving and testing out every relationship, every environment you're in, you're stuck. And stuck things are still things, and still things are usually dead things. And Dan Sullivan often says, as soon as you quit providing value, the universe has a funny way of asking for its parts back. And stagnation is not a good state. Stiffness isn't. You want to be. Deepak talks about the palm tree or a palm. It's constantly moving. And you like that? You like that?
Yeah.
But yeah, so you got to be like a palm, flexible.
So as you're watching this, I want you to just kind of take a deep breath for a second and look at your life the way it is now. And I'm talking to you as you're viewing Mike and I on our conversation. As you look at your life, what you're seeing is as you're growing, you're actually moving from congruency to congruency. This is kind of the interesting part of it, which is as you grow, the things that you used to do aren't congruent for you anymore, but they used to be. So it was okay for the time to do, like I just said about the $1 million day. That was a great thing for us, for the customers, for our team members, for the partners. It was a great thing. It would not be
unbelievable.
It wouldn't be a great thing for any of us this weekend. It's like it was perfect for the time, but as you move, the business changes, you change, and your relationship changes, and it's okay. I mean, the truth is, I told somebody this recently. My friends from 7 years ago aren't my friends from 7 years ago. The guys that used to come drink beer at my house, I realized when I stopped drinking beer, the guys stopped showing up. It was like, I guess the beer was the thing, so the relationships change, and that's great. And your business changes, and that's great. And so you came out of this model, which was really like you're walking on a down escalator, walking up to continue to feed the beast. And you looked fear in the eye. That was the biggest challenge, I think, really, is just looking the unknown in the eye, and came out of it on the other side. So what did come out of it on the other side? What's the new Mike Koenigs 7.0 or whatever version you're up to at this point?
All right. Well, one of them was a realization that my attachments were, again, I remember even talking to you about it. I'd be like, oh, what will happen if I don't do this and I don't do this, then this won't happen anymore. So for example, we had a complex business, a lot of moving parts, funnels, paid traffic. And it was like, buy a digital product, come to an event, and then, we'd escalate. And it was a great model for a long, long time. And it worked when it worked. And then when it broke, it could be very expensive for a period of time. And I didn't like that anymore. What I wanted to go is move to simplicity. And I didn't feel like I had a genuinely intimate relationship that was narrow and deep. And for example, I can remember, and Ed, you experienced this too. There would be sometimes there'd be someone in our audience who would walk up and have a conversation. And they'd say, hey, Mike, I'd really like you to work with me on my business. And I'd get to know him and I'd be like, oh my God, I love this person. I really want to have a relationship, not just like a transaction, but a relationship. And, you want to have a relationship with everyone, but when your business model prevents it from happening, it sucks. And so what happened is I can remember a couple people would say, I'll give you whatever you want so you can work with me. I want you to be my advisor. And I'd say, well, you can pick this thing or this thing or this thing. And they go, no, I want you. And I'd be like, I don't have any time because my machine is taking everything and there's no extra space. There's already, my health is suffering. My marriage is suffering. Elements of my business that I'd like to work on is suffering. And my future me is suffering too. And so I wondered, I was like, what if every morning, and it started with this one thing, I want to be able to be on the beach and have breakfast every morning with someone I love every day. That would make me feel rich. And I thought, what are all the feelings of being wealthy that I could have? And one of them is I love breakfast. Like, Ed, when you and I go out for a big breakfast and we don't have to do anything for a half a day or a day, I feel rich.
This is the Mike, and I've only had about 1,000 meals with Mike Koenigs, so I'm as qualified to tell you this, probably only next to his wife. This is Mike's move. He goes like this: let's just order like 5 or 6 things and just bring them all. We can just eat them all. That's Mike's approach to a great breakfast or lunch, just so you know. So multiple entrees hitting the table.
Not to be a glutton. I love to taste a little bit of everything and variety and deep. And I want to wander and wonder and imagine. And to be able to reimagine is the act of creation, and to co-create and to co-innovate is, I think, the elements of what is what we are. If you call us sons and daughters of God, to create and to co-create and innovate is to be godly. And so to be in that space as often as possible without worrying about what's going to happen next is deeply rewarded. And so I started imagining, what would this be like? And one of them was, okay, what if I only would have 12 clients a year who I love them and their businesses, and I knew I could amplify and elevate them as human beings and their businesses and the people they touch, and be narrow and deep and really, really, really get ultra creative. And I'll tell you in a couple examples of those that have emerged as a result of that new idea. But also, I want to get super kind of woo-woo on you for a second. Here's what I've felt has been happening for a long time. I think humanity is evolving at a very rapid rate. So is the world. And those of us, and I often say, if you're a high frequency alien, you know it. And if you felt like you're not of this place, of this time, of where you came from, and you just feel like, ugh, I'm not part of this massive mess, we're shifting our frequencies as beings. I think we're oscillating now and penetrating a membrane between the energetic and the spiritual world and the physical world. And this right now, that what we're living in, is a test of that. It is an opportunity to operate and vibrate at a different frequency, to oscillate between the two worlds, that of the energetic and the spiritual, and that of the physical domain. And I think this is an opportunity for a forced compression. It is an opportunity to re-evolve into a different being. I started calling it a super being a while ago, but beyond a human being, it's a new evolution of the mind, of the body, and the spirit, and we are being tested. And just as our economic system is being tested, there are tons of things that are not relevant any longer. They don't serve. They're meaningless. We've got kids these days. If you've got my son's 17, you've got younger kids. They think differently than we do. They don't have the needs for the same garbage that had social status and meaning a while ago. And I think this is an opportunity to hibernate and reemerge. And so we can get into the specifics about what I did, but that's like,
well,
that's the download I've been getting on an
I
ongoing basis.
actually have so first of all, this has been awesome. It's great just talking to you this way again, Mike. We for those of you who are watching us who wonder what happened to Mike and Ed, we still see each other every month or so and get breakfast, big breakfast, and hang out. But what you just said something that just made a lot of sense to me of some things, and I'm going to give it to you in the context in a second. But before I do that, I want to just catch up real quick and say hello to some of our friends in chat. This has been a little bit of a family reunion, so I do want to acknowledge some folks quickly and just say hello. And by the way, if you just joined us, this is the Bunker Bash. This is a show that I host every day, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, all weekdays, 10 Pacific, 1 Eastern. And it's designed to be a positive place with implementable ideas. It's designed so that when we all get out of the bunker 2 months from now, you're better, stronger, faster, and more equipped to go on and conquer the world. And like Mike has just said, the world is changing very quickly. And I want to say hello to some folks. Jennifer said, I'm ready to re-evolve. Scott he said, you're still the Disruptosaurus. And Blake, a really nice comment. Yeah. I like this one, by the way. David Zetz, by the way, Mike, David is a basketball referee, and he came from my group of basketball referees to one of our trainings 3 years ago. David said 3 years ago, you guys were the catalyst to a huge shift in mindset and direction to quit my job and be my own boss. I like it. I thought that was really cool. And then this comment from Mike Semmel. He looks like Mike Koenigs, but I haven't heard one F-bomb. Is it really? and by the way,
dried.
I was just emailing with Mike this morning. Mike is in a business that could totally explode with everybody working at home right now. So, and then I just saw Bob Serling on Facebook, Mike. So
I saw him too. I said hi.
Our good friend Bob, one of the smartest marketers in the world, and really, I think one of the best copywriters in the world as well, and just a good guy. So hello to Bob. Good to see you, buddy. And then Jim Butts says hello from Carlsbad. And David Stoll just said hello as well. So it is good. Barry says, I missed the events in the community that you built, but I appreciate that. Blake says, first time listening to Ed, but love the chat. Where can I go sign up for your daily talks? I'll give you that website. By the way, Blake, you can just hit edrush.com and just throw your name and email in there, and that'll give you the website and the updates for this Bunker Bash. All right. So I want to, thinking about this concept that you just put before me made me realize something about the importance of partnership. And Mike, it's crazy. I just remembered this, but it was like 3 or 4 years ago that you and we had this massive marketing list and we had these events. And then all of a sudden we started doing these 25-person trainings in your studio in San Diego. And I remember in those times, you and I saying, you know what? We're going to start going deep instead of wide. It's what you just described. It's the depth of relationship instead of the width of, the normal approach to the old school kind of internet marketing was like as many people, as much traffic as you can. And we consciously turned away from that and went into a deeper model. And it just all of a sudden hit me, the idea and the concept of partnership. And it's what you're doing on the business side, but it's also what you did personally, which I find fascinating. And what I started to put together as you were describing this is how pressure really created partnership. And when I'm talking about partnership, I'm talking about primarily first partnership with God, secondly, partnership with yourself, third, partnership with your spouse. So you described that, I think, very accurately. And then the fourth level is partnership with the people that you're in community with, namely the people that you're helping. And I took a similar journey, as you know. I went from in a single year from having 44 one-on-one coaching and consulting clients down to 7 that I was deeply invested with and in partnership with instead of just kind of giving advice to. And so talk about that for a moment, because I think fundamentally the big shift you made was moving from essentially a more transactional model to a more partnership-based model. Can you talk about that?
I can. Well, here's a couple things that interested me. And then I'll show you a little case study because there's something that just happened that will illustrate this in great detail, which would be, imagine being able to be rewarded for who you are versus what you do. That's a good thing to imagine and wonder about. Another one is, what if you were only living inside your superpower all the time? Whatever your unique ability is, the thing that you would absolutely do all the time, every day, no matter what, even if whether you got paid or not. And if you got paid for that one thing, it would be like heaven on earth. And the next thing is, all the noise went away. It was just like you're just in that beautiful state and you're working with other high frequency aliens, right? Other people who just like are your soulmates. And these are like, they feel like family, the family that you recognize on a soul level, not necessarily who you're born into, right? And every day represented possibility, potential, growth, and you're inspired. And I love what Warren Buffett says. If I got to wake up every day and tap dance to work, Warren Buffett says that's what keeps him going. And so if it's okay with you, I'm going to show something on my screen.
Yeah, go for it.
Okay. And it's a little case study. So I started experimenting with a new word, which was, I called it a superpower accelerator. And I started calling it a super being accelerator, but people were like, what does that mean? And I thought, okay, well, just imagine if you got your superpowers amplified and accelerated, and you could experience a reinvention in 2 days. It's what I want. Okay. I created something that I wanted to buy, that I wanted to experience myself. So here it is. I'm going to share my screen. And let's see here. I got to show, let's see, I'm going to do an application window. There it is. Okay. So what I did is I met this guy. His name is Charlie Epstein. And I met him at an event called Abundance 360. And if you're not familiar with Abundance 360, let's see here. I'll go back to my camera here. Boom. Okay, there. Abundance 360 is an event held by Peter Diamandis, and it's thinking about the future and all kinds of stuff. And this guy walks up to me, he's super enthusiastic because we did these breakout rooms, and he goes, I want to work with you. And I'm like, okay, well, tell me about you. And he goes, I'm a 401k coach and a financial advisor. And I'm like, shh. And I started asking him questions and went back and forth. And I said, well, what about this? And he goes, nah, I don't want to do that. And what about this? Nah, I don't want to do it, because this guy, Charlie Epstein, has a business he works on, not in. He makes plenty of money. He doesn't need to do more stuff. His team takes care of things. So he wants to be elevated. And right away, I'm like, now this is the kind of guy I want to work with, someone who wants to be creative. So one of the things he said, kind of in passing, is he used to do stand-up, and over 20 years ago, he had a one-man show off Broadway that didn't quite get off the ground. And I thought to myself, I've got an idea, because there's something I've been thinking about for a long time. I don't know about you. Well, I know you do, Ed. Like, I love stand-up comedy. And I think one of the best ways to change the planet is with comedy and laughter, right?
Yep.
It's even though a lot of comedians have been vilified because we live in this BS politically correct garbage.
We're used to. I think we just canceled the cancel.
Yeah, exactly.
Canceled the cancel culture.
I've had enough of that. Yeah. Okay. But he said this in passing. So I made a couple of phone calls to some guys who are comedians. And I came back to Charlie and I said, Charlie, I've got an idea for you. And you have 1 minute to make up your mind. He goes, okay, shoot. And I go, okay. We're going to create a one-man show based on your life and your business. I've already put together a team of 3 comedians, stand-up comedians who are working comedians who have television experience. And we're going to write you a one-man show. And he goes, done. Where do I wire the money? It was like fastest yes I've ever had. And this is a substantial investment. So I'm going to share the story because this is what makes it fun. So we started going, and one of my goals was to do fun things at our beach place. We have a place across from the ocean in La Jolla. So it all started here. And here was our team. So it's Marisa Brassfield, who used to work with Peter Diamandis. She's she's this amazing synthesizer accelerator. There's Charlie, two of the comedians, and one of the comedians is remote. So here we are outside. So I opened up and I asked Charlie, how do you want to feel? What emotions do you want to feel more than anything? And he says, I want clarity on my ministry, on my purpose. And it's to end suffering and misery from something. And his something was money, to ease pain. How do we ring people's bell? How do we have more fun and laugh again? And let's get people to peace through laughter. I thought, now that, my heart's just like, I'm melting. It's like, oh my God. So this is Charlie, and he's a really dynamic guy. He's funny and he's interesting. And we start pulling out, like asking him questions about his life story, all the dynamic, the moments of truth, where he had his greatest evolutions. And that's Kyle. We brought him in remotely. We've got like a camera in there, and there's Marisa taking notes. Too. What's that?
Kyle's a comedian too, right?
Yeah, Kyle's a comedian. He's a working stand-up comedian. He works at like Jimmy Kimmel's in Vegas. And then the other two comedians are off to the side. So here's what happened. We decided, first of all, our hook was making money funny. Kind of cool. And we crafted a one-man show that we wrote it in 2 days called Yield of Dreams. So that's Jesse and me. And we had it down. So we pulled 15 myths about money. We ended up picking 5 that the show is about. And Jesse and I performed the framework of the play to in front of Charlie and his team. Okay. So we ended up making this thing. It's called Yield of Dreams, Paychecks for Life. We got these cool big pencils. The pencil is some significance to Charlie. And then we're now producing a mini documentary where Charlie's going to be standing in the Field of Dreams in Iowa and doing some of the elements for the play. And there he is again. And then we did a little cheers after 2 days, got everyone together. And then I brought Charlie into the studio. That's the one I'm in right now. Did an interview, turned it into an article that just got published this Sunday, an Entrepreneur magazine. And check this out. It showed up on Apple News.
Oh, wow.
Picked up the front cover. Cool. And then now if you type in and search for Charlie Epstein, here he is there, but his articles show up as top stories, picked up in multiple places. There we did it. We did the Yield of Dreams one-man show. It's got pictures of us. It's got a direct link to his website. So we got huge link love, but, and there we all are as a team. But again, getting back to what's the most important takeaway from all this, it's, to me, how can you elevate someone else and still be true to yourself? You know, it's, inside your profession, and, you know, this is such a cliche, but life is too short for the grind and operating like a phantasm in an extinct environment. And, you know, time is an illusion. You know, it's like your perception of life is perception. It's a perspective, a point of view. And if you're not elevating other people using your superpowers, I think it's a disgrace to yourself and your creator. And it's hard. It takes an enormous amount of courage and overcoming of fear. I mean, it's like, and we can't do it alone. So
Amen.
That's
Amen.
What I live for now. It's how do I walk away, reinvent someone in 48 hours and give them a new vision of the future, a new business.
That's a great
and amplify them, right? That's what I live for now. So.
Well, and look at, did you see that? I mean, the smile on his face.
Oh yeah.
At the end of that process. So I want to go back for a second. And by the way, I want to say hello. We just had a bunch of folks just join us. Jim House is Jim House.
Love Jimmy.
Good to see the Mike and Ed band back together. And Marianne Coleman, how are you again? Good to see you. And by the way, we just had two more of my friends join us on Facebook that I want to say hello to. Brock Scheinen is an attorney friend of mine who is one of the best authors that I know. Just wrote a book you can find on Amazon. And then Stephen Wessner, who's a longtime friend and a brilliant business guy, just sent out 2 emails to his list with incredible descriptions of what's happening right now in the financial world, which you can take care of. So I want to say hello to those 2 folks. You guys are both awesome. Paul Bigham says hello.
Just saw Paul. How's it going, brother?
You have both been bumper pads for me in my personal transition and re-identification. The growth and journey continues as we all emerge in new places. Mike, Paul is right now teaching as a professor at a university, and as a part-time, what he does, which I think is great. Paul has always been sort of a sage in my mind. So thank you and welcome to all of you. By the way, if you just joined us, this is called the Bunker Bash, positive place to hang out during a difficult time and to get better. Streaming every single day, 5 days a week, every weekday at 10 a.m. Pacific, 1 Eastern, with incredible interviews like this and also some ideas on how you can get better. Tomorrow's episode, do not miss. I'm going to show you the 10 industries that are changed forever and how you can leverage those 10 to grow massively in the next 2 months. I'm interviewing my friend, Mike Koenigs. In a minute, Mike, I'm going to ask you, you have a couple free things that people can get a hold of, but I want to go back for just a second into a question, which I think was a pivotal question that you asked your advisor client, Charlie, right in the beginning. And it was an emotional question. I want to just dig in on that for a minute because together I want to talk about connecting emotion to your dreams. Look, it's one thing to write down your goals, you know, it's another thing to deeply connect emotion to those things. And I can tell you the first one is destined to failure and the second one is destined to succeed. So take me back to the question. Good. What did you ask him that generated that, it went from sort of this humdrum money thing into like this thing he was so excited about? What was
well, let's we'll turn this into an exercise for everyone who's watching us live. So my ask for you, I'm gonna have 2 asks for you. The first one is I want you to type in to chat right now, what emotions or feelings do you want to feel all the time? When you wake up, you want to be excited and you want to feel right now. That would give you accelerate and amplify your superpowers, knowing you could have this all the time. And I'll tell you a couple that come up all the time when I ask this question. And again, I'm going to frame this even more while people are typing it in right now, Ed.
Yeah. So what we do in the chat, that emotion, and then I'll be highlighting it, Mike, as you're talking. Yes.
So right behind me on the screen, you can see this. This is the view that you would see. And here we are. This is the other view. So that's Charlie behind me. Kind of see him right there. Okay, there you go. There's Charlie, there's Marisa, there's me. So we're standing on the deck of our condo across the street from the Pacific Ocean. You're looking out, and I ask you this question: what feeling, what emotion do you want to experience more than anything right now and all the time? And we're going to check in periodically. So what I do is I say, let's do a little grounding exercise. Just give thanks, experience gratitude, feel connected to God and spirit, ground yourself fully and look into the ocean, smell the ocean and realize that it is eternally abundant. There's this beautiful ecosystem and you can draw the energy from it. So what is that? So I'm looking at all these. I see bliss coming up, peace, fulfillment, the joy of sharing, joy of life. But that's what happens up all the time is people get connected. And I go, okay, so we go through that exercise and then we do something we call positive focus. So it's like, what are you super excited about right now that's happening in your life? And it can be in your life, in your business, and personally that you're so grateful for. So that's the next thing. And then we're so pumped up, we're amped up. And I just say, right now, we're about to walk inside and completely reinvent who you are, what you do, why you do it, who you do it for, anchoring in to your greatest superpower. We're going to discover and work on and amplify your unique ability. That's a strategic coach phrase. And we're going to create a premium experience or an offer based upon that. We're going to get your message together. And so let's just create that excitement. So it's like cultivating that feeling, and then boom, and I'm peace, excitement, joy, gratitude, fearlessness. I'm seeing the chats coming in. Barry saying working at home and caring for my 9-year-old while she's out of school. So the more specific, the better, because that's the next phase, is how will that manifest itself and show itself? And specificity is critical to manifestation. And then I learned this from Gay Hendricks, who wrote The Big Leap. I just started a new podcast with him called The Big Leap, actually. He has a new book coming out called Conscious Luck. And it's his opinion that luck can be cultivated and curated as well. So once we've got that in motion, we go inside. And I know every time I do that exercise, it amps me up and puts me back in that state of grounded creation and innovation and co-creation too. And that's when you know you're living fully. It's like, this is what I'm here for. You know, on a primitive level, we make babies, right? We're creating, baby.
I know what that's all about.
Yeah, you do.
For those who might not know that inside joke, I have a 14-year-old, a 13-year-old, an 11-year-old, and a 1-year-old. So, so I make babies.
That is true, man.
That may not happen. That may not be the case forever. Just say, but the question, Mike, is deeply profound. And I just want to pause for a moment and just say thank you. You took the energy and the vibrational level of this show up a huge notch during our time so far together. So I appreciate that. You know, I was sitting here in my office, actually in my chair, where I sit every morning for about an hour and just read and pray and meditate. And it was about 4 months ago that I realized that the energy, the emotion attached to the things that you do is essentially everything. And so what I did was I broke down the activities of the day, not to the broader activity. Like a broader activity would be, for example, doing the show. Well, there's a whole bunch of sub activities that happen to do with that. I write an email, I write a description, I write some copy, I go through each episode and chop some key pieces out so that I can put them on Instagram and on YouTube. And so there's a show, but there's like 17 sub activities associated with the show. And what I realized was part of the key to success is infusing joy into each one of those sub activities. Now that can be a major challenge because frankly, sometimes sitting there watching something that you already know what you said can be a little tedious at times. But if you start to think about the result of what's going to happen in someone's life, if they just see 1 minute, if they see a minute and they go, wow, that was really helpful. I want to see 10 minutes. And then when they see 10 minutes, it starts to transform their being so that they want to see 30 minutes. And when you think about that single activity as a transformative activity for one person, and the next time you do it, it's one person, eventually you get to the point at which you're influencing millions of people. And so it's interesting that you were talking about that emotion because like I said, I'm trying to find a way to literally put the emotion joy and the emotion love and the emotion peace and contentment all into the most minuscule activities of every single day. I'm talking about things like making coffee. If you can pause for a moment while the thing's dripping and just say thank you, just say thank you. And I'm not sure as you're watching what your particular belief system is, but everyone says thank you. You know, I just sit there and say for a moment, thank you. This is really nice. I'm in a world where I can make my own coffee. How beautiful is this? And those moments are surreal. So anyway, Mike, thank you for that. I don't have a follow-up question to that. I just wanted to share what I thought was deeply, deeply profound. It's just really, really great.
Yeah. Well, I think the key to all of this is, like, you can summarize and boil everything down into some really, really simple steps, which is obviously in a state of gratitude, Next is, and I love this, I got this from Gay Hendricks, which is wonder. And he does this exercise. He goes, I wonder, because when you vibrate, it's actually causing both halves of your brain to synchronize. Okay. And you'll notice you feel a deep sense of peace, and that vibration actually tickles and feels good. So really leaning into that and wonder. I wonder if, that's a state of deep creation. I think it's actually connecting you to source energy, source power. And it's a great meditative state. I mean, why have our ancestors, the great meditators, they do that. They tone, they ohm, right? And our voices, singing does that as well. And I think that's a great way to just, again, transcend the flesh into the spirit realm, where all of this happens and comes from in the first place.
Yeah, I mean, taking this full circle. So we started talking about how coronavirus is changing the world. One of the great benefits is you have more time at home. and now that you have more time at home, and like, when would now be a great time just to sit for 20 minutes, 30 minutes, an hour with yourself, get some noise moving, and just think? I mean, I've had the blessing. I'll tell you, Mike, there's nothing more joyful than my daughter, my youngest, is 18 months old. So she's walking. She's got a very limited set of vocabulary words, but she talks the entire time. And so what I'll do is like, when I'm done work today, I'll just literally, I'll just take her for a walk. And what I mean by that is she's just going to walk wherever she wants to, and I'm just going to follow behind her and make sure that she doesn't, eat too. The other day, I took my eyes off her for about 8 seconds, and she had picked a snail up off the ground and fully ate and swallowed the thing before I could even react.
Escargot.
That's what I mean about. But when you follow an 18-month-old, first of all, there's no rules. There's nothing holding them back except for mom and dad's protective measure, and everything is amazing. The grass that they'll feel, the things that they'll just pick up, the things that they'll see, it's all new. And I thought, what would it be like just for a moment, just to walk around in life with a new set of eyes, experiencing new things? Well, the truth is, you can. So awesome, man. Thank you. By the way, I threw a website up below the two of us. It's paidforlife.com, paidforlife.com. For those of you old school Mike Koenigs fans, that was an event about 4,000 years ago. But before even you and I were working together, actually, come to think of it. But it's not an event anymore. It's a website where you can go to get a bunch of cool stuff. And so if you were moved and inspired by Mike, and I know I was, tell everyone what's there.
Well, here's what I'm going to do. I'm actually going to put it in chat for you too. I've got 2 things that I think are really going to help you. And I do have a quick ask also, which is, if you're watching this on YouTube and you haven't already subscribed to Ed, make sure you subscribe to him right now. And
that is an awesome thing to say. Thank you for that.
And also, if you really, really want to be cool, share this right now. Okay. And that is, so here we go. I'm going to do, I'm going to pop this in both places. I've got 2 gifts for you. One of them is a video, and it's called Zoom Tips, okay? And it's 25 strategies to make your Zoom meetings and webinars awesome and professional every time, because just about everyone right now is doing Zoom, and they're trying to figure out, how am I going to stand out? How am I going to show up? How am I going to look great? And if you aren't thinking that, chances are you probably should, because I don't know about you, I've been to a lot of Zoom meetings and they look and sound horrible, and people's video and audio is off. There's all kinds of noise and racket and a lot of time wasting. So this is something that you can use right now. And my ask is, make sure you share it, because people need this right now. The new way of doing business is virtualization. And the second one is something I created. It's called the 1-word offer, 2-word brand. And if you've ever wondered, how can I create a connection and a relationship with the fewest number of words in the shortest period of time. So someone raises their hand or they point and look at you, and I just violated one of my rules, by the way, but to illustrate is, I've been looking for you. Where have you been all my life? That, or the equivalent of I love you in a business context. And that's what the one word offer is all about. It's about creating that moment of, yeah, you, I want you. And so it's a good technique that you can take with you everywhere you go. And I know because I think about it a lot right now, I'm trying to say fewer words and mean more and have more meaning when I do it. And again, we live in this virtualized world right now where creating impact as quickly as possible is more important than ever before. Showing up and being a leader and a hero all comes from being a great storyteller, a great orator, and being able to provide a lot of value in a short period of time. And that's really what this whole thing stems from. So those are two gifts, and you don't have to sign up or register or anything like that. And if you find value, follow me on YouTube, follow me on Facebook, and come to the website. You can join my list, and I do webinars and stuff like this all the time. I have 2 podcasts.
Yeah.
So
a really great podcast, by the way, with Dan Sullivan called Capability Amplifier. I think if I got that correct.
Yeah.
And Dan is one of the smartest people on the planet. Just incredible mind. So in a minute, Mike, I'm just going to have you give some final thoughts. But before I do that, let me just tell you, go to paidforlife.com, grab Mike's stuff. And then also I posted the link. Try the link again, Mike, if you would. And post.
Yeah. So one word offer, 2-word brand. I'll put it in both. Somehow it got cut off. Boom,
do it inside of the chat, Mike, on StreamYard, so it goes out to all the platforms, because I think the first one just went out to Facebook.
Great.
So Mike,
we'll put her in both.
I was speaking at, you just said, you're trying to say less. And I'm going to tell you some feedback that I got from Bill Glazer's event. So I was speaking just 2.5 weeks ago at Bill Glazer's event. I was actually the MC. And there was this lady there who, I don't know how to describe.
How many words?
Other than to say this, she came up to me with my book that I had given out. Yep. She said, I'd like you to sign my book. You're really good. I really like listening to you. You talk too much. You're really good. And literally, that's exactly how she said it, and the exact words. And I went, wait, what? Hold on. I'm really good. I talk too much. I'm really good. Like, which of the pieces of advice am I supposed to take in this thing? So when I signed her book, I just took the book out and I wrote, I can't remember her name, Tanya, quote, you talk too much, Ed Rush. So maybe Mike, that's advice. Maybe that's just advice that, we all should take. I guess kind of hard when you're doing an hour show every day, but anyway, thank you. I think the links are in here. And by the way,
I reposted them.
We'll make sure that they're there. Oh man. Well, first of all, we should probably do this again, because it's been fun just reconnecting with you, man. And we have laughed a lot in our life together, and I think we're going to keep doing it. So let's wrap up today's show. First of all, Mike and I are going to be here for about 3 to 4 minutes, because he's going to give a wrap up, and then I'm going to say goodbye. But hang out and chat for just a few minutes, because Mike and I will stay here for a few minutes after the show, just to say hello and to thank you. So stick around for a minute just after the show, so we can catch up on all the great comments and say hello to you while we're still live. Mike Koenigs. So coronavirus striking planet Earth. Everything's accelerating. Evolution is changing. Business owners are being forced to reinvent themselves. What last parting advice would you give to us as we're learning from you?
Well, you and I are 100% on the same page about this, which is right now is the time to increase your capabilities, learn new skills, and elevate the new you. And I think positioning is more important now than ever before. And I'll just draw from a little example, something tactical, which is I created that 25 strategies to make your Zoom meetings and webinars awesome, because I was attending so many events and most of them were horrible. And I'm like, I want to help you serve people better and be a better performer, presenter, and also make sure that you are always brand representative. So I created that video and then I turned it into an article, and now I'm distributing it, and it's picked up a lot of views in a short period of time. And so my question for you is, if you're going to settle into the new you and create, like, where can you provide a lot of value in the shortest period of time that will elevate someone by seeing it, hearing it? And I mean, you can make a quick video. It can be on your phone, post it on YouTube, post it on LinkedIn, post it on Facebook, and then turn that video into a mini article on LinkedIn. And you'd be surprised at how much traction you get in a short period of time and what kind of conversations it creates, which can turn into enrollment conversations for the new you in your business. So getting back to the big picture here, remember to open up every day for the next 7 days and ask yourself, what feeling or emotion do I want to experience all day and every day? What will inspire my creativity, elevate others around me, and put me in a mood to tap dance? It might not be to work, but maybe down to your home office, your kitchen table, wherever you're doing your work right now. But get connected with your heart and the feelings and emotions you want to experience all the time. And I believe that you'll be able to manifest the new version, the new future you. And this is the moment when heroes are going to be created. It's during this moment and during this time. And Ed, I got to give you a lot of credit too, because, you know, you're doing your 21-day vision right now of getting on the air every day and being disciplined. And you're a remarkably disciplined guy. Congratulations.
Thanks, man. I appreciate it. Committed, by the way, just 2 days ago to 90 days. So we're turning to 21 days of live streaming, 1 hour a day, every weekday into 90 days. That actually takes us out quite a bit. So we're going to have some amazing guests that come in, including you, Mike Koenigs. I would love to have you back. The folks in chat said for sure. And by the way, I think it was Ben Farmer who said Pam Hendricks as well. It's funny. I just texted her this morning, Ben. So looking forward to having Pam as well. Maybe we'll get the whole gang back together again and just see what happens. We used to go out for something called BMOE, Biggest Meal on Earth, after we did big promotions. Well, we can't do that right now because the restaurants are closed. But you know what? We can do it virtually. So Mike Koenigs, my friend, thank you very much. You, sir, are amazing. I love you and I like you. And those are two different things altogether. So I appreciate you.
I agree. I'm in the same boat as you, my friend.
Thank you, by the way, for joining us. We stream every day, 10 o'clock Pacific and 1 o'clock Eastern, right here on the Bunker Bash. Tomorrow is very important. We're going to roll up our sleeves and I'm going to show you the 10 industries that are completely changing because of coronavirus and how you can take advantage of all 10 to not only grow yourself financially, but to grow yourself personally. If you liked the show today, and I'm assuming you did, please click that like and share button. That's really important on the social media platforms for visibility. They don't know we're here unless you say that we're here. So that would be great. And as we wrap up the show, there's a little button that'll show up just over here underneath Mike. That's the subscribe button. Please click that as well. That'll at least give you a fighting chance to find the show on YouTube through all the mess of, Teletubbies and whatever else is streaming these days. So please do that. I just want to tell you, this too shall pass. And when we're out of the bunker, you are going to be better, stronger, and faster because you rolled up your sleeves and flat out got it done. So I just want to say that I appreciate you, and I'm looking forward to seeing you tomorrow right here on the Bunker Bash. Thank you, Mike Koenigs. We'll talk to you guys soon.
Thank you, brother.